This podcast is brought to you by the following
Why don't you go like
sponsors.
this and have lightning come from your hands? Yeah.
I'll just do this.
Effects.
Finishers MMA is located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA, Lehigh Valley's home for 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. The amount of people that they have over there instructing is insane. They have J.M. Holland, John Thor Blanks opening up 10th Planet Allentown, Zach Meslaney, Grace Gundrum. It is elite teaching over there. They teach self-defense, no-gi jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing. They have a kids martial arts program that is building and growing, and Grace is teaching every single kids class. Get over there. They are the biggest killers in the game. That's 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Do you have anything to interject?
You didn't let me talk. I don't know.
No, I would like trying to get quicker on that. But they have multiple schools, and it's www.finishersmma.com. That has their schedule on there, and it has when they rotate everything. And they have evening classes because if you work and you can't get there, they even have, I think, an 8 o'clock class on Wednesday.
The thing I like the best is that they treat people with respect. It's not like one of those weird places you go and they talk down to you and, you know, like I'm a big bad sensei kind of crap.
No, not at all.
They're super cool guys. Everybody that goes there is nice. Everybody's friendly. It's just a wonderful place to go and learn jiu-jitsu. Wonderful place to go learn choke people.
Yeah.
Just go choke some people.
Every time I've been over there, and I get a little intimidated sometimes going into classes like that, even like going to the gym or like the Y, I get a little uncomfortable, and they make you feel at home there. Super professional. The guys have been doing it for a while. Zach, JM, and Thor all have their black belts. So
and they have crazy top-notch equipment. Everything is awesome. It's not some...
Yep. Every now and then they do
awesome. It's an awesome place.
Seminars and stuff there too. So check it out. It's finishersmma.com, and they are located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Their social media is everywhere, so you can go find them. And thank you guys for being a sponsor. Taylor Edge Wood Company. Drew Hoagland. They make handmade and local crafting and bringing you gorgeous custom wood design. If you're looking for a custom table, nightstand, countertop, and more, they can help you. Drew made this table and that desk. A lot of people always have asked us who did this, and it was Taylor Edge Wood Company. Their social media you can find is Taylor Edge Wood Co. on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram has a lot of the pictures and stuff. That's the best place to follow them. They just got the website up. It should be running by the time this airs, but that's tayloredgewoodco.com, and he's going to have cutting boards on there. Their T-shirts are really cool. I know they're doing fall shirts for that, and he's just a stand-up guy. He's done nothing but help the show since day one and has really ultimate crafting.
Yeah, if you're looking to get something different for your home, and you don't want to have the same boring home with the same boring box store, stupid tables that are particle board that are wrapped in crappy vinyl stuff, check him out. He'll come and give you an estimate, let you pick out whatever you want. He's a crazy nut for black walnut, and he loves the stuff, the smell
He's
of it.
Obsessed with
crazy.
it.
It's a little awkward, but he's very very talented. And like I said, if you want something custom and nothing says that you're cool, then I have a damn custom table and you don't.
Yeah, and you get professional quotes, and he's also got that he's going to be having that on the website where you'll be able to get quotes off of there. So if you're looking for top-notch,
locally sourced,
everything's out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, support local people.
Yeah, so hit them up. You can hit up tayloredgewoodco@gmail.com for any inquiries on what you need. Instagram's a good way to get a hold of him, and he runs it with his wife, so they're super local to us, and they helped us out since the beginning. So please go check them out, and thank you for being a sponsor.
All right, our next sponsor is All Valley Rooter and Plumbing.
Jared LaBarba. I've been friends with Jared for almost my entire life, and he came down to the studio looking to sponsor, and we had a long conversation, and he wanted help building in the Nazareth area. He has a lot of work in the Lehigh Valley, but he specifically wanted to get into Nazareth, and we have a really big reach in Nazareth. It's not a big place, but we do have bigger reach than anyone else here.
We control the whole
We
town.
own Nazareth. But Jared went through his whole story and told me everything he's doing, and his plumbing is top notch. Yes. They do faucet repair, sub pump replacement, sink installation, pipe installation, leaks, toilet repair, and more. They have 24-hour service, 365 days a year. They charge by the job, not the hour. All services come with a 1-year warranty and guarantee. He's going to be our plumber from now on if we have any problems with the sink and whatnot. Yeah. Having plumbing issues is probably one of the biggest headaches ever.
It's one of those things that if something goes bad with your plumbing, it's really bad. There is no minor plumbing issue. And it's good to have someone that's local that you can call, that you know, and say, hey, I really need your help, as opposed to some guy that's going to spend, he's going to take 3 hours to get there and he's going to show up. He's going to overcharge you. It's just not worth it. Go with a local guy, super professional. He can do everything you really want. He lists a bunch of stuff there, but I'm pretty sure he can do pretty much everything involving plumbing. So I'm just going to call him for everything. So. Whatever.
Yeah, and you have 2 properties that you can use them for now, too, because you didn't have a good experience.
No, they were horrible.
I wish you would say who it was.
I really hate that.
His website is allvalleyrouter.net, and that is the place where you're going to find all of the information you need to get a hold of Jared if you have any plumbing issues, or if you're just trying to get quotes for stuff. But they are 365 days a year. They are open 24 hours, and we want to thank him for being one of our first sponsors on the show. It means a lot, and all you Nazareth peeps or anybody in the Lehigh Valley who wants a trusted, reliable, professional plumber, please contact Jared.
And our next sponsor is Rips Auto Detail. I love this guy. Go ahead.
One of my favorite guests on the show.
Cool. He's a really nice guy. He's a very good DJ also, by the way.
Yes, and he's super professional at his job. He's got over 15 years of experience. He's located at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He does paint correction, ceramic coating, interior, and pro auto detail. If you follow him on Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, it's insane what this guy actually does with a car.
I am recommending that you go to Popeyes, which is right up the street, and you put fingerprints all over your vehicle, and then you go there, and he will make it perfect again.
Yeah, he's got 15 years of experience. He's got a package for everyone. What he stressed on the show is that he doesn't just do super high-end vehicles. Yep. He can do anything from, if you just have a daily driver and you just like having a clean car, you can get that done, all the way up to getting a boat done.
Yeah, well, it's worth it because I had my SUV detailed last year, actually, just because, especially when you live around here with the salt and everything else, if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will keep your car looking better than dealing with all the salt, because you keep going for car washes and stuff. That's not good. So if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will help all that stuff. So it basically winterizes your thing. And plus, when it gets nice out, you just go there and get it, just touched up a little bit, get it, refreshed, and you have a car that doesn't look like you're a slob.
You can contact him directly on Instagram, and that's at Rips Auto Detail, or you can call him at 484-553-1366. If you really want to know what this guy does, check out our past podcast with him. It's got a boatload of information. I didn't know, I knew he was good at what he was doing, and he opened his own business and all that, but to hear the story of how he got to where he's at and the 15 years experience, he's a super pro. He's a really great guy. Just go check out his stuff at Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, Facebook, and his website is coming soon. So go check him out, and he's one of our first sponsors as well. And we couldn't do the show without all these people, so I want to thank everyone. And shout out to Rips Auto Detail, and give him a follow.
And he gives you a free bucket of chicken.
No, he does not.
He's from Popeyes, says he does. Put that in there.
He didn't even like Popeyes.
Rips, you need to give out free chicken. Thank you.
Check out what he's doing on social media, and we won't use that part. And then we'll end it with, this is a professional Class A operation. Check out the podcast we did with him.
Our next sponsor is Valley Prep Meal Prep. This wonderful company is located at 23 South 9th Street in Allentown.
They are the premier and elite meal prep in the Lehigh Valley. What separates them from the others is that they're cooking all week long. I went over to their operation. It is legit awesome food. You did not get to try it because I ate it all when he brought the samples.
He stole it. He said it was wonderful. Those guys are the ones that do all the meal prep plans for the Iron Pigs.
Yeah, they found their niche and they're really growing their company. I'm excited to be a part of what they're doing, and they have, like, I didn't realize that they're doing delivery as well, and that's like a huge backbone of their business is the delivery.
So you have no excuse to not do it.
No, and the other thing too is they're not delivering you all of your meals one day. They're delivering throughout the week. So they're going to start on Sunday morning, and then they will deliver again on Tuesday and on Thursday, and that's in the evening so that you have time to get your meals after 5.
So that means all the stuff is fresh. That means they're cooking continuously throughout the week. That's
and
awesome.
They have people who know what they're doing over there. They have a super creative menu, and you can check out their menu on valleyprep.net, and that's where you're going to find out all of their information on the 3 different plans that they have. It's keto, low calorie, bulk, and I believe they're going to be introducing a athlete program as well, because Bill Lohr, I think, is going to be their first guy on
and
that.
They post it on Instagram and stuff like that a couple days ahead of time, so you can decide if you want in or not. Basically, you pay for the whole week, and they set you up. You can set it for either lunch or lunch and dinner or just dinner. They have tons of options, and it's good stuff. It's not,
fantastic people.
Yeah. Oh, the dude was so awesome when he came in. If you not, check out the podcast. It should be on this podcast. We're going to post another. But yeah, you'll love it. The guy's such a good guy.
They have quality prices that are anywhere between $7 and $9,
which is cheaper than maybe if you go to McDonald's and eat crap.
I mean, even they're right up there with Wegmans prices. I mean, and the food
it's more expensive. Wegmans is way more expensive.
Yeah. So
and this is way better food.
And they're delivering it, and they're doing it fresh all week. So that's valleyprep.net, and that has all your information. They do a shared change program with the high schools. They have meal prep on there. They have keto, low calorie, bulk. You can order right off there. Anything you want to do is connected to this. And then what also they can do is you go on to MyFitnessPal, and that has all your macros for all the calories and everything for the food. So if you're trying to diet or you're just watching what you're doing, it's the easiest way that you can shed pounds. And that's Valley Prep Meal Prep in the Lehigh Valley. They are in Allentown, and it is valleyprep.net. Thank you.
Our next sponsor is Luke Delmeyer Custom Knives. If you've ever wanted a custom knife, say a chef knife, say a camp knife, say any kind of cool custom knives, I'm sure any of you guys have watched Forge and Fire or whatever. This guy actually does that. He makes wonderful, crazy knives. He's leaps and bounds above anybody you're going to have around here. He's a good dude. You can contact him and give him basic parameters of what you want to make for our custom knives. He does sell his own knives on his website.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different knives on the website, and his Instagram as well.
Instagram, he puts it up a little bit, and he'll say, hey, man, I'm selling this. His website's lukedelmeyer.com. Yeah, I mean, he lists a bunch of stuff. Like I said, you can ask for the custom stuff. He's starting a new line, which you can talk about, of the chef knives.
Yeah, the chef knife that he brought over to the studio was incredible, because he showed me the demo one that they started with that he made out of a leaf spring, which is insane. But then what he handed off to me, I immediately just wanted to start prepping and cutting onions.
You were trying to.
I was excited to cook, and that's what a chef knife should do. And if
you just kept telling him you wanted to use it to cut something.
I did. And if you're looking for a chef knife or any sort of custom knives that you would like in your life for whatever reason, this guy, the amount of work that he's putting behind it, the craftsmanship that's behind his actual craft with blacksmithing, the dude's extremely talented, extremely humble, and please go check out his social media, and it's Luke Delmeyer at Instagram. That's where you're going to get a lot of his knives. He's testing the knives.
But you forgot the coolest part.
What's that?
You want to make your own knife?
Yeah.
He's got classes.
Yeah. That's right.
He has his own classes. You can go there, look like an idiot, because that's what I'll probably look like when I do mine. But you can go there, and he offers classes and teaches you how to make a knife. And I think that's awesome, because there is no one and nowhere in this area that does that.
No. And if you're looking for a custom knife of any range, whether it's something that you're just looking for hiking, or if you're looking for a chef knife, or you're just looking to collect something as a hobby, go check out his social media, check out his webpage, get in touch with him, and see which knife is right for you. And that's lukedelmeyer.com. And thank you for being a sponsor. Hold on.
What are you clapping for?
To get the fucking sound. Then I can match the audio, but hopefully I won't have to match the audio. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here.
Thank you for coming all the way down into the busy, bustling city of Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Sometimes you don't realize how far places are in the valley. Everything seems so close, but
No, I know how far everything is from here.
Well, it's funny because when you came to the restaurant, as I'm driving, I'm like, yeah, it's not too far, but it is kind of far. Like, you know?
Yeah. Now imagine that drive, for me, in the morning. And 22 is backed up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm never on time.
I know. And this area continues to grow and traffic just gets worse.
Yeah. And there's no way. I go back ways.
There's no way around it. No escaping it.
No. The last time I took my wife, I drove to the office. I was like, this is my back way. And I literally drive all the way around, like Lower Nazareth, go all the way down, like through Bath. I come up like that way, and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no way.
The day I came down is when that monsoon came through. Oh yeah, dude, I was like hydroplaning on the road. At one point, I was like, I might turn around.
Yes,
because it was raining so hard.
And it's funny. It was that day. It's a Sunday, and it was brunch, and brunch is pretty busy on Sundays. We're gonna have a quiet day, and we had people coming in with the monsoon. I was like, "What's going on?"
Well, right when I got there is kind of when it stopped, and then by the time I left, it was like done.
Yeah.
You have a fantastic restaurant, my friend.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Union&Finch. What's the actual address?
1528 West Union Street on the corner of Fulton and Union.
I didn't know where I was till we were discussing before the show starts. That was the old wing spot.
Yeah, JP O'Malley's.
Yeah,
JP O'Malley's was around for a while, shut down in 2009. At the time when it shut down, I was living in New York City. And
what'd you do in New York?
I worked for Warner Music Group. So one of the biggest music companies, one of the big three that's left, really, in globally.
Sounds like a non-stressful job.
What
I was doing this at 3 p.m. with my boss in his office.
What did you do for them? What kind of job?
I oversaw a group that built and managed e-commerce and marketing websites for artists like David Bowie,
cool,
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I'm a graduate of the Institute of Audio Research in New York.
Sweet.
And my teachers were the ones that recorded like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Very
unassuming people until you kind of start to have conversations as to who they've been around and what they've done. It's like, what?
I got hired. I ran out of money. I got hired for, I think it was Red House Music, was the one that used to do the audio for David Letterman show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome,
and
man.
then after they told me I could join the team and try out, because they fired their intern and they were going to get me in because I was a shoo-in.
Yeah.
I didn't have any money.
New York's cheap.
New York, yeah.
And I asked my dad, like, hey,
can I borrow some?
I got this wonderful job. Like, this is my future. This is what I want to do. And he said, I don't have any money, so you should probably come home. And I said, but, like, they need me here.
Yeah.
Like, I can't drive from Pennsylvania. They said, like, artists come in the middle of the night and they do sound checks whenever the fuck they want. So if they want to do a sound check at 3 a.m., we need to call you and you have to be able to get here.
Right.
Not 2 hours
from
now.
Not 2 hours from now.
And I was like,
you're at their beck.
yeah.
Were you living in New York at the time?
Yeah. I was living in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was that?
98 until 2001.
I had just moved to New York in 98.
Yeah.
I was working in there in 96,
Yep.
and then 97, 98 is when I moved there.
Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
I use that term very loosely because I was like, Brooklyn Heights is way up.
Sure.
Way up. Like the promenade and stuff is up there. Yeah. I was, 2 blocks from the Manhattan Bridge?
Yeah.
And then the Brooklyn Bridge is what, 2 or 3 beyond that?
Yeah.
So I was right at the on-ramp to the BQE, got right up. So it was like Brooklyn Heights came all the way down, and there's like a fire department, and then my building, the on-ramp, and then it was just not safe area.
Yeah.
So I was there like, you're in Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
Your rent is $2,100 a month, split by, I guess it was what did we pay? I think we ended up paying, because we had 3 people living. Our place was only for students, so you had to prove you were a student. And we had these beautiful loft apartments, but it was like $2,100 a piece.
Yeah.
For 3 people.
can imagine what the price is now.
Yes. Yes.
How did you get into even getting into that job? Were you always into music?
It was a technology job, so
Yeah.
I was in IT, so to speak. I wasn't a nerd in the sense of building websites. I was more of a project manager out of school, and one of the first places I worked at was a big consultant company. So as a consultant, I worked for Sony Music, and we did a big project for them. And then one of the peers that I worked with at Sony that was a full-time employee went to Warner Music, and I reached out to him, and I was done with the consulting kind of gig because it was at that point it was .com burst and everything was kind of a little bit more unstable. So I need to get into a corporate job where it's probably a little more steady. And
Yeah, music is never steady.
no, it isn't. It isn't, which is funny because when I reached out to him after he left Sony to go to Warner, I said, look, I'm looking to get out of consulting. Do you have anything going on at Warner? And he said, yeah, give me time. I just got in. Give me a year.
Yep.
Year in, he reaches out to me. I've got something. And I joined there in 2000. So it was really the year before 9/11. And joined Warner Music Group. And the interesting thing was, to your point, every year there were layoffs.
Yes.
I was like, holy shit. It's like, this is not what I signed up. Every summer, everyone's sitting on pins and needles. Am I going to land a job?
What makes me mad is you watch the stories of these people who made it in the music industry. Like that documentary with Dr. Dre and the guy he's partners with, whatever.
Jimmy Iovine, I think.
Yeah, Jimmy. You watch him, and he was just like, how did that guy? We have Jurisits.
Yeah.
Went to Northampton Community College for radio broadcasting, and then I see him in a bar like a couple years later, and I'm home, not working in the music industry, and he goes, "Hey, I'm working for a recording studio. I'm the head engineer."
Oh, wow.
I said, "But you didn't
do it.
You didn't go to school for that." And he goes, "Well, I was drinking and I met a guy." What the fuck is that? Yeah, well, I actually did. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So then I quickly found out that when I came back here, there was a studio here, like in the Poconos.
Yeah.
And it was a family friend that my family knew. And I approached him and said, "Listen, I'll come work for you. I'll intern you for free. I don't want any money. I just, while I'm home, until I figure out how I'm going to get back to New York,
Yeah.
I just want to keep doing what I'm doing."
Right.
Wouldn't even bring me on. It's a golden secret that I'm going to learn something.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I don't have any money.
That's so shitty.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn it.
Yeah, it's like polar universes where in New York it's like super cutthroat and everybody's getting fired, and then around here it's like people just want to protect.
Oh yeah,
they have.
that's been the adjustment that I had to make coming back here. It's very.
What made you come back and even remotely get into the? Have you always been in the food or running businesses?
Never,
or?
man, never. Living in New York, single dude, you go out and spend a lot of money.
Oh, sure.
Good God.
Literally, the ATM becomes your best friend Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday.
Well, it was an eye opener when I went into Chase Manhattan Bank and I said, "Hey, I'm going to open up a bank account," and they sit you right down, okay, and they're non-assuming to a point. And as I'm there, people are looking me up and down, trying to see how much money I'm bringing. I was like, "I'm bringing you my loan," and it was like $20,000, and they're like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, you have to have, I forget what the amount was, like X amount of dollars to be able to come into the branch to do your banking."
Wow.
And I go,
Really?
"So what do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, you'll at the level you're at, you can do your banking through the ATM." And I was like, "What do you mean? So I have to do deposit?" She goes, "Yeah, there's deposit envelopes. You write on it. You do." And I was like, "So you want me to fucking carry cash around and go to ATMs, the most dangerous part of the bank, and I'm going to have all this cash?" Yeah, it was, I was like, and she goes, "Well, where are you from?" I said, "You do know I live in Nazareth. I can open a bank account with $25.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, yeah, you're at the lower level. You need at least $5,000. And I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
All right.
And then you fast forward and nobody even carries cash anymore.
I know. You got a debit
Well, it was
card
creepy
or
because then at
credit
night
card, whatever.
there would be people waiting at when it was really cold because those ATMs are enclosed. So
Yeah.
you need an ATM card to get in the door.
You're always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, so you open the door and you're like, "Fuck you," and you shut the door. You're not coming unless you have a card. Because once you're in a room, you're in a glass room locked in there. I'm not somebody to fuck you up and take all your money.
I know. Absolutely.
So I just shut the door fuck off.
Yeah.
I love New York, though.
I know it is. It's to your question, Michael, is 97. I started working there in 96. Moved there permanently. Professionally, I should say.
Whereabouts did you live in New York?
Started out Midtown East, 2 doors down from Sparks Steakhouse.
Yes.
Where the famous the Mafia hit took place. And then I moved, but the company was paying for it then. So I was like, oh, gravy, man. I'm not paying for it. They're
Wow.
paying for it. So it was nice. Right?
That must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. 8 months. And then I moved to the East Village.
Yeah.
14th Street between 1st and 2nd. Did that until 2004. 2004, I moved to the Lower East Side before it became like Mardi Gras on the weekends. So
Yeah.
I was across the street from, which you may be familiar with,
Yeah.
a place called Arlene's Grocery.
Yeah.
Just a small local venue for bands.
that's
Literally
awesome.
across the street.
Yeah.
Like you walk out the door, it's right in front. So that was Stanton Street between Ludlow and Orchard. And then met my wife, got married. It was a tiny bedroom, 1 bedroom, I should say, no closets.
Yeah, no.
So it was like, all right, that's not going to work too long. And then we were expecting our first child, found an apartment literally 2 blocks down, 1 block east on Essex Street between Rivington and Delancey. Was able to move with our little Honda Accord. Did that until 2011, and then we're expecting my son.
There you go.
And I was like,
Yeah.
$2,500 for rent. 2011, I have a house without a mortgage in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania because my parents were deceased.
There you go.
Time to move back.
Yeah.
So we moved back in 11.
I just love, I love that there's so many. I mean, my school was in the village.
Yeah.
So every day we'd get off, and it was like we were there to Adam Sandler was recording or was doing that movie Big Daddy.
Yeah, with the kid.
So yeah, so we were there, and he did a lot of that in Washington Square Park.
You're right by NYU then.
Yeah. Well, my school used to be in NYU.
In NYU, yeah.
And then
Great area.
NYU just decided they were going to cut that program.
Yeah.
Whatever. But anyway, but yeah, when they're recording that program, and then we saw all these buses lined up, and the guy, there was really large fucking guy, and we're like, hey, who's in the bus? Like just screwing around. He was like, yeah, it's Adam Sandler, and we're like, yeah, all right. And he goes, yeah, you guys want to meet him? And we're like, yeah, whatever. And he was gone, and he come out, and I met Adam Sandler, and met Steve Buscemi, and then they said, awesome. You guys, what are you guys here for? Well, we're audio students. We're going for, recording music and doing stuff like that, sound production. And he goes, you want to come meet the sound guys? So we were there when they were shooting the movie. Awesome. And I was like, this is fucking great. Yeah. So I'm like, it would be so much different if we had phones now.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have any of that shit. So I'm like calling from payphones like, you'll never guess what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, I'm on the set of a movie.
Yeah.
We probably enjoyed it more because you didn't have a phone distracting you from it.
That is true.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's like, sometimes when I go to concerts, when I go to restaurants now, like my big thing, especially as I'm with someone, is I leave the phone in the car. And it's
but
so
you don't
much
understand.
better.
This phone now has a food camera. The camera has a special thing for shooting food.
Believe me, I like taking pictures of food, and I'll do that by myself and stuff. But like, I just try and I don't know. It's just it sucks when you sit across from a table and everybody's just looking at their phone.
Yeah.
It's like a love hate, especially with the restaurant, because you need social media.
Yeah, but then they're blasting the shit out of it.
Yeah, and it's just like you can't get away from using it, especially when it comes to posting content, because you not that you live and die by it, but it helps tremendously.
Oh my
we've
God,
got people that come
and
in.
It's free.
It's free. That's what I'm saying. It's free. It's like you can't beat free. So, but New York was a great ride, man. I was there for almost 15 years. To say that I don't miss it would be a lie. It's just a unique city.
Well, yeah, I had like my brother and stuff would come out, and he's like, "What are we gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna drink and walk around."
Yeah, that's what you do. You literally hop.
I mean, you could go at any night.
Yeah.
And if especially go Washington Square Park or around like NYU, there's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's little performances and stuff, or you go to like the Blue Note and you watch a Blue thing, and they come in, they're like, well, you got to buy 2 drinks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a shit ton more than that.
That too,
but it's
right?
like, that's fine. I'm not fucking, But yeah, we went to so many clubs, and then I took a tour. Well, Jimi Hendrix's old studio, the Purple something? What the fuck did they call it?
Down that area, right?
Yeah. It was awesome. But I said we just, because we went to that school, we got to just do whatever.
Yeah.
So what sucks is, then after I left that school, they talked about, now we're going to set you up with jobs and do all this stuff. Now they own their own bar that has a performance center. So now the kids run the whole bar and all the sound. And they have a setup with Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So now when you're there, you can work at Sirius while you're going to school. And I go, yeah,
You're
that
like,
was so much better now.
I know you're like that was 20 years too early.
I am doing a podcast in space.
In Nazareth.
Yes, and I bail people out of jail.
Yeah.
So that worked out perfect.
How the hell did you get into the restaurant business?
Yeah, and it never was something that I did. Obviously, being in the music industry and working in an area that, you know, just helping artists build marketing and e-commerce websites. But having spent a lot of time in restaurants and bars in my 13 plus years in New York City, I had an appreciation.
Oh, you'll know good and bad.
You know good and bad.
There is no it's good or it's bad.
I mean, I always loved the interaction that you had in restaurants and bars or whatnot. So, initially I was like, it'd be cool to do one in New York. But the reality of it is, in New York, you're here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I like a lot of the Italian places in New York because they take it really seriously.
They do, yeah.
So when you order stuff, like, they come out, they're making sure that everything's fine and you're happy. If you are not happy, you're not talking. Like, they want to know why.
They want to know why. Yeah.
And so it's a different, here it's like,
whatever, get lost.
Don't.
Yeah. So
food's good though.
Food's good. No, yeah, and look, you don't have to be in the industry to know that's a tough industry to kind of make it, but having wanted to do it there, knowing that like it's going to be difficult to do it there, I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to give up on that. And there was a point where I was home, because I would come back quite a bit, Pennsylvania was always home. I was probably back at least once a month. And, unfortunately, both my parents lost their battles with cancer. So I was spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania and also New York, because my mom was over at Memorial Sloan Kettering on the Upper East Side. But having been going back and forth, one weekend I was just like, I wonder what's going on with the old JP O'Malley's. This was probably 2010.
Because it's a cool spot.
It was
a
cool
spot.
spot.
And we were talking about it. It's not downtown.
No.
And it's kind of off the thing, but there's houses around you.
Yeah.
And it's really pleasant.
It's like in a neighborhood.
It is, man.
Because I didn't know where you were located, because I don't know Allentown. Yeah. So when you told me the address, but then when I started noticing where I was at, I was like, good. This isn't like downtown. I'm not going to have to drive around for parking. There's not a shitload of traffic going on.
And I always tell people we're close enough but far enough. That's what I've been saying, which is so true. Close enough but far enough, man. So I drove by the building in 2010, and the room where the pool table was, there was a big sign for rent. I was like, it's probably the apartments upstairs. The name of the realtor was on the sign, obviously, so I gave it a ring, and I was like, my name's so-and-so. I'm curious, is the building for sale? He was like, it can be. I said, all right.
Everything's for sale.
Everything's for sale. Let's talk. So, we started to talk. The then owner was a widow. Her husband had just passed away, and she was dealing with apartments upstairs, obviously, and O'Malley's had been shut down. I don't think she was in particularly, she didn't love being in the apartment business, rental business, because...
Yeah, if you don't want to deal with people, and you're not the type of
collecting
person that,
rent, and then collecting rent from shady people.
See, he loves like all that awkward confrontation.
No, see, I like
he's ready to use his baton.
I love this story. I'm gonna tell him.
I like the one when you have to go and get money from people. But I have friends that own properties in Allentown, and it's a nightmare.
It's tough.
And then you have the sweep from Allentown.
Oh, yeah.
So he used to get. I would laugh because we'd sit in the office, and he shared an office with me. And he rented out the back spot, and he would come in and, oh man, you got a bunch of these sweep envelopes. He goes, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And it'd be his tenants having like a couch on their front porch because they're having a party watching the football, and he's getting fined for it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What's
so
a sweep?
glad. It's like code violation people, and they do a sweep. So it's to keep Allentown clean and proper. So if you go behind your house, like if you have a bunch of garbage that's piled up, and you didn't move it up front, like they can fine you for it.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So he used to get fined because it would be weird stuff. Like I said, the guys wanted to watch football on their front porch, but it had one of those front porches that really
makes
high,
sense though.
With a really high
like
thing.
to watch football.
So
outside.
they carried a sofa outside and put a TV and then like a stereo on the other side. And it was the middle of the day, but it just so happened that the code guy drove by and they have really descriptive pictures and zoomed right in, and they're watching a football game and find them like $100-some or something. And then he's like, what do? You can tell them, good luck trying to get an extra $100 out of somebody.
Yeah.
Just burning money.
It's tough. Yeah, it is. It is.
So I'm guessing the lady was kind of willing to
she
negotiate.
Was, definitely. And it was at a point in the economy where it wasn't a seller's market; it was more of a buyer's market. Yep. So we started to look at the building. I'm not a risk taker per se, so I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of really starting to happen." I'm wondering what we're gonna end up, doing with this.
It's weird how when like it just starts with a phone call and then it goes a little bit,
like,
and then you're like driving home and you're like, wait a minute, am I going to buy a fucking restaurant?
I know. That's exactly what I was. And it was like not only a restaurant, it was a building and a square block because it runs a city block. That building, So we spoke, and and whatever. We started to go back and forth about pricing, and because the restaurant or the bar hadn't been open since 2009, we're talking 3+ years.
Yep.
We had to go through the zoning process again. So,
Yippee!
Yay! Yeah, exactly.
We love zoning.
Zoning. So I had to get an attorney involved, and the attorney is like, well,
Get your wallet out.
Get your wallet out. 1, 2, get ready for the pitchforks and the torches. So we go in front of the zoning board, and you have to post a plate card saying, look, we're applying for zoning to get this re-permitted as a restaurant bar.
Did you have the idea of the restaurant and bar figured out at that point?
I did, because as I said earlier, like, while it was kind of a pipe dream, wanted to do it in New York.
Before we go any further, like, what was your not generic, but what was your original vision as how you saw what you wanted to do to open up as a restaurant?
I knew that we wanted restaurant first, bar second.
Yeah.
Because I at that point, 2 kids, and knowing that O'Malley's had a history. And
they were, yes.
It was, at the end, it was not good.
No.
It was not good. I mean, there was, multiple incidents, unfortunately some deaths that were as a result of folks that were in the restaurant or the bar. And, Muhlenberg kids kind of urinating on lawns and, throwing bottles and breaking, rear view, whatever, mirrors and whatnot. And,
those bars suck unless you're the one drunk at it.
That's when you're drunk, right. So
working there or owning them is a nightmare.
Exactly. So, we had a vision of being a restaurant first. Having spent 13+ years in New York City, I also knew that what works in New York doesn't work in Allentown. Period.
No.
It doesn't work in Bethlehem. It doesn't work in Nazareth all the time. There might be elements of things that you saw in New York that might work in a restaurant or a bar.
It's
not apples to apples. You just can't. Like, I don't want to get into the details, but like I also learned some things as I went along, where like I had aspirations to kind of do some things that maybe I saw in New York, but as you kind of went along, I said, you know what?
Some of it can translate, some of it can't. Just because people aren't. It's a different
animal.
It's a different way. Like I would tell most of my friends wouldn't come visit me because I don't. We were young and they were like afraid to go.
You're going to New York,
But the friends that did show up, we'd drive and the light would turn green and the cars would start coming up and they were just like, wait there. And I go, what are you waiting for? You just got to walk.
Yeah.
But these cars are going to hit us. Yeah. No, they're not. You just need to fucking walk, or you're going to sit here all day.
You're going to sit here all day. Yeah.
And it's like it's elements of that, and then like restaurants, like you go in and we were talking about it. I think last week, the ones that was it Papayas, the hot dog place.
Yeah, sure.
If you don't know how to order, they'll look right past you.
Yeah, next.
Hi, how you doing? And you can sit there and scream and yell all you want, and they just keep going on.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have anything like that here.
No, nothing like that. And also the ambiance. There are certain things, that
yes,
$15 cocktails don't work well.
No,
I mean, and then there are certainly places that are doing it around here and maybe doing well and able to have draw a certain audience. But we knew very well that we didn't want to restrict ourselves to a certain or specific audience. We wanted to have a wide audience and be accessible to, different socioeconomic kind of population.
Well,
that was important.
People gravitate more to food.
They do.
Over alcohol. Like they're willing to spend money on good alcohol if they have good food.
If you have good food and then you have a great bar, that's an add-on, it's a killer spot.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys figure out your food? What did you want to do originally?
We wanted to keep it casual American, but with a twist. So, we certainly have a kind of Middle Eastern Mediterranean twist. We do a little bit of a Southern twist, South American twist. So, it was important to have something on the menu for most audiences. Mm-hmm. That's when we wanted to have a burger, and a good burger at that.
I'm so mad I haven't gotten.
I know.
Which, by the way,
I've tried twice.
My neighbor. I live down here, so my neighbor. She said we went to. There was a race up towards Allentown. It was a benefit for something, and she said she was leaving to go to your spot.
One of those 5K places.
Yeah, and I go, and I said, we talked to. I think we talked to him. We're gonna have him on this. She's like, I love all their food.
That's awesome.
I was like, I love all their food. And I was like, I've never been there. And they praised it. She's like, I love that place.
Yeah, Bill turned me on to it. And then I think the first post
Bill's
I saw.
Like our biggest. Great.
First post I saw was a burger. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's a good burger just looking at it.
And the menu had to be accessible against from a price point standpoint and also a variety standpoint. That was super important. So, for us, having wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, now
how do you not have wings?
I'm gonna definitely peruse the entire menu.
Yeah.
Like then when I went in, and we'll get to that later.
Mike
but
likes to snack.
Yeah.
When he goes to restaurants, he'll
That's
eat something
good.
and go, I think I'm going to order this now. He snacks.
That's awesome. That's why
no,
you got to
'cause
try
it.
it. Yeah,
I'm gonna.
But you got to try it.
We've been trying to meet up with the guys that want to do the video project I was talking about.
Yeah.
And Matt, who's going to film, he was in there and he was like, dude, it was outstanding.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to meet up with him, and then I think next week I can probably line it up. But I'm like, dude, I want to go wing night. I want to go burger night.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I'm just
awesome.
like, and then there's brunch, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many days to go.
Yeah, and getting back to some of the earlier questions, why restaurant? Why did we want to do it? While the corporate thing, especially the music industry, was fun, I enjoyed it. I
Sure.
also knew
It's a weird kind of business.
it is
but
a weird
it's
business.
cool.
It was good. It was cool, and I was there until 2011. We decided to move back to Pennsylvania in 2011, right? And I was commuting
Yeah.
for 4 years.
That's
Yeah, and I said my window was 3 years. I said I can't do this, and I was working from home 1 day a week. But still, like even with commuting 3-4 days a week, it was a lot. So I can't do this more than 3 years.
It just sucks.
It sucks, yeah. And I was taking the bus, by the way. But even the bus, like,
Well, originally it was what? When I first started, I think it was like 20-something round trip.
Yeah,
And
now
you
it's
go
like-
all night long.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
40-something.
40 something,
And you
yeah.
don't get to choose the
Yeah,
passengers.
you don't, right. You don't get to choose the passengers.
But you don't,
exactly.
maybe you don't understand.
Yeah.
I never knew the passengers
Yeah.
because it was on the way there I was drinking, and on the way home I was drinking the whole time. And they would go, "Are you drinking on this bus?" Yes,
Yes, I am.
Yes,
That's
I
the only way
am.
I'm going to make it.
Trust
Yeah.
me, they're never going to stop this bus.
No, right.
They make too much
right.
money. They're
Yeah.
not going to stop.
So, while corporate was a good run, and I loved it, especially working in New York and working for a music company, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think restaurants always had, again, I just had an affinity to being in a restaurant and a bar. I just thought there was something about that. You know what the feeling is. Like you go to one of those places because you want to.
Yeah.
You want to, you want to breathe a little bit. You want to have conversations. You want to forget about things. You want to drink. You want to eat. You want to enjoy company. You want to hear good music. You want to be around a good vibe.
And it's always cool to test your idea where, like, if you go into a place, you're like, oh, you know what would make this a little bit better is if they would just adjust the lighting.
Exactly.
Or if they, you know what would kill it is if they had this type of fry or if they had this burger. This burger's almost getting it. So it's like my buddy just opened a ramen place, but it's like the people that actually step forward and open an idea like that, like it's not easy to do.
No, it isn't, man.
Because there's so many people that have opinions on it, but nobody has the courage to take their opinions and put it on a menu and be like, this is how I want to live.
But it's a lot. But how long did you work on the place to bring it back?
We bought the building end of 10, beginning of 11. So what we did is we focused on the tenant base. There were 4 apartments upstairs, and we had to kind of clean that up. That was a little rough.
Yeah. Well, get back to how was the code thing? Was that a nightmare?
Yeah. So to get back to that, so what the way the negotiations kind of went was with the seller at the time, or the owner was, look, this is all contingent on us getting rezoned to open this as a restaurant bar, period.
Because they weren't happy with the last tenant.
No, not at all.
So
not at all.
So they cut his seating.
Not at all. So we went in front of them and the zoning board and they asked how many opposed. Literally, dozen arms went up. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, because I mean, they're probably all thinking this is just going to be a
here we
college
go
bar.
again.
We're going to have kids throwing up.
What
in
do we
our
know
yard.
about Ed Hanna?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know anything about me, and I don't blame them. I mean, like, what do we know about this guy? He's gonna talk a good game, and then he's gonna open the doors and do whatever he wants. So, there's some good parts to this. So we went back and forth, and there was a point where one of the guys on the zoning board was, all right, if you're a restaurant first, bar second, then you don't need to be open beyond 9. I
said, your hours.
Yeah, I said 9 o'clock. Chili's doesn't close at 9. How are you supposed to make?
That's true.
You got a
Red
stadium.
Robin, I think, is open until 11.
11. I was like, you got a stadium going down the street. How are we going to compete with anyone down there? There's no way we're going to do that. So.
And I don't like how board members, because I've gone to stuff with the skate park and whatnot, but it's like I don't like when they use their power like that. Because they know what you want.
None of them had the balls to do it themselves.
No, yeah.
But they have the and I read that they cut the time because they pushed that we are going to be more food than alcohol.
Yeah, they were exactly.
And then they wanted less people.
Less people.
Or less tables.
Which was insane.
So that's like saying you can't make money now.
Yeah, and we're the only restaurant really beyond 15th Street, going west in Allentown, that has a parking lot that's 25 or so spots.
Yeah.
Like there's no other parking spots in the property. So That was big. But we went back and forth with them. They sent it to the Lehigh County Court of Appeals. So again, continue to pay attorney fees, go in front of the Lehigh County Court of Appeals. Mm-hmm. They sent it back to the zoning board. I'm like 9 months later. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So finally,
and this whole time you're commuting back and forth to New York City.
I was, yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. Because at that time it was 2010, 2011, so I was commuting back and forth. So finally, we got to a point where it was like, all right, we came to a consensus or an agreement was, all right, we won't allow you to open at 2 a.m, which initially was I was fighting for. Not that I wanted to be open at 2 a.m, but from a
principle.
Principle and resale value too.
Yeah. The arena's up.
The arena's up, right?
The show gets let out.
Yeah.
And most of those bands, if they get out, stay around town to eat.
They do. And we had.
I know the guys over at the barbecue spot there.
Yeah, Queen City.
And they're like, oh no, like they all come here. Like they'll call ahead and say, we're bringing everybody over here.
Yeah.
So if you're close,
right.
you can make money.
We had Trans-Siberian Orchestra in town last week at the Appeal. They ordered for 20 people at the end of the show for the whole band, so which is awesome. But so look, I didn't want to be open at 2 a.m. with at that point 2 kids. I was like, I don't need to deal with that, so that wasn't an issue for me. And we agreed to midnight. I said midnight's perfect. And we don't get that late night drinking crowd, which I'm fine with.
No, that's a total headache. Man. It's a total headache.
If we get people spending money for dinner and
drinks on top of it,
that's perfect. That's where we want to That's our bread and butter right there right now. So 9 months later, we finally got to a point where we were in agreement on midnight max, and
that's not bad at all.
And there are only 2 days that we're open to midnight. And to be perfectly frank, the kitchen shuts down at 10.
Yeah.
If there's no one in the restaurant at 10:15, we close the doors.
Yep.
Because what are we going to do? Keep the doors open for that one person that wants to have that one beer?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So as long as we're open till when the kitchen closes, we're fine. So we've been doing that consistently. So 2010, 11, finally got that sorted out, bought the building, dealt with the tenant base because that was a little sketchy at first.
Yeah, because that's another whole, oh my God, how many hurdles, and the fact that you actually finished what you did was impressive.
Oh,
because
Well, you had
so
to
many
get those
people would have just
that's
stopped.
money coming in, too.
That's money coming in. And we had, look.
I'm just saying, so many people probably would have stopped after 9 months of all that shit.
And I got to be honest, like to your point, man, I was like at one point, I was like, do I really want to do this?
Well,
is it worth the headache?
So, after the first hearing you're in, you pretty much just say, I don't want to do this.
So there was tenants above it already?
There were.
Those hearings are brutal. And those people, they're not.
And like, I'm not, like I said, the biggest risk taker, but I was like, I kept going. And
did you have to boot the tenants that were in there? Or did any of them stay?
I wish I had done that with some of them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story. So there was one tenant on the second. We had
how many units is it? 4?
4.
Yeah.
But there was a basement apartment.
Nice.
And there were always cops at that basement apartment.
Yep.
Always. Even when we bought the building, I was like, that was 2020's hindsight. I wish I had kind of made a change there and some other places.
Only they had a good bail bondsman.
I know. Well, I'll tell you the funny story is like, so we bought the building again, end of 10, beginning of 11, everything was sorted, and I'm trying to get everyone on leases. There were no proper leases.
Wow.
And I'm trying
now you got to become a landlord.
Commuting on top of trying to get like
but that time in New York City, that dealing with all this stuff, that's got to be a joke. Dealing with people around here.
It was because it's the laws in New York in terms of apartments are so much more difficult to get people out. So I'm dealing with an apartment in the basement trying to get this one tenant out. Well, I was just not get her out, but it's like, either you're going to sign a lease or you're going to leave. She goes, no, I'm leaving. End of February, March 1st, I'm out. Cool. Go with a locksmith to change the lock. And it's a basement apartment, so there's one entry to get into the basement and then another entry to get into her apartment, basically. Yeah. So I go the outside entry to go in. I knock because I just want to make sure everything's... And as I go to open the door with the key, I got these 2 raging pit bulls running at me, man. I was like, oof. Oh, shit. And I was like, ooh. Here we go. So her on again, off again. Boyfriend comes to the door and he's like, I'm not leaving.
They're fun people. Huh?
Yeah.
The part-timers.
We the part-timers. We got a squatter.
Well, did you just go there yourself?
No, I went with the locksmith. No one else.
No,
yeah, I know.
For future reference.
I know.
He'll give you a card you can use.
He's
got that baton strike to the leg down.
For future reference, there might be some state constables I know that when you have to deal
with that,
Yeah, you go
No,
there.
I know. That was mistake
that's-
number one.
Yeah, but you're
mind
not
you-
expecting shit like
Well,
that.
I've never met the on again, off again
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so he goes, I'm not leaving. So I call the APD, Allentown Police Department. They
Yeah, like,
come.
what did he think? Like, you were going to be like, all right, fine, I'll build a
Yeah.
restaurant around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what? I'll just live here for free.
Shucks.
Yeah.
You want a free meal?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So police come and they're like, let me guess, it's so and so. He looks like this. I was like, yeah, how'd you know?
He's our favorite person.
Yeah, he's our favorite person. Been there, done that. So they roll up and they said, look, can you give him 24 hours to get out of here? I said, all right. But it's like, if he's not out here tomorrow, we'll be back. We know him. We got his contact info. And he was out. And it wasn't destroyed, the apartment. So after that, I was like, background checks, credit checks.
Yeah,
I'm done with this.
You have to.
I'm done with this. So
Yeah.
finally, we got a stable tenant base after doing a couple scenarios like that. Not exactly the same, but
I mean, if you would find the right tenants in there that would want to live there because of even the restaurant being there.
I mean, I'd be honest with you, Michael, we've had tenants there for 3 straight years, and I didn't raise the rent on them because, look, you're clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't
harder
cause
to replace
issues.
you then.
Their families, it's harder to replace. With the taxes going up more recently in the city of Valentine, I did have to move them up a little bit, but from an affordability standpoint, those apartments are amazing.
Did you have to redo the apartments as well?
Couple of them touch ups,
Like codes?
Yeah, well, one of them, not code wise, one of them. Oh boy, once she left, I mean, there were maggots in the fridge, and
Yep.
Yeah. We used
I
to
was
work for a
just
cleaning
nasty.
company, and people who got evicted, they would leave the food in there so it rotted.
Oh.
So we'd like open the fridge and,
And
we'd
you'd
hear
be
like
like,
one of us yell like, "Oh my god!" They were the worst.
Yeah, and I was like, again, after that, we do monthly
Yeah,
inspections.
we'd
at
have
this
those
point.
in Bethlehem, and then there was ones in
I've seen
Rosetta.
some stuff. In Allentown, you go and you pull people out in
Yeah.
handcuffs, and it's like, but it's heartbreaking. You see like babies crawling on the ground, and there's just dog shit. everywhere and
yeah.
stuff, and they're like
Dead mice.
"Oh."
Yeah.
They live in like this. Here's a dead giveaway, and this is what I always say too, and I shouldn't say because if anyone, nobody's gonna listen to my fucking bail. Anyway, if I get a phone call and they say, "Hey, I want to bail out a family member," if I can hear the fucking smoke alarm beeping,
Yeah.
it's a dead giveaway. I'm not doing the bail.
Right.
Because par for the course is every house I've been into that's
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I swear to God, the smoke alarms they
It's-
never replace the
they
batteries.
never replace the batteries,
So you just hear
yeah.
beep,
Yeah.
beep all the time, and I
Oh, you
can't
hear them
tell
outside?
2 or 3 times a day, people will call up. I want to bail out my boyfriend. If I hear that, I do go, nah, sorry, I can't.
Yeah, not going.
And I explained it to my boss. I'm like, I'm telling you, I've learned from experience. If they can't replace the battery in a fucking smoke alarm,
Yeah.
they
done.
don't. Because you know what? My friend that owned all those properties, he turned some of them into like Section 8.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, guaranteed money. Money's coming from the government. I don't have to wait for them and blah, 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 blah. And then he had a tenant that, her responsibility for the apartment, it was $900. Her responsibility was $30 a month.
Yeah.
And she couldn't pay $30 a month. Wow. And then she would call the code people and say that he needed to come and change the batteries in the smoke detectors. And he goes, that's your job.
Yeah.
That's not that's not the owner's job.
Right.
And she was like, he goes, and he went up and the code guy just goes, there isn't even a battery in this one. And she goes, yeah, I use that for my kid's toy, but he's responsible to replace it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not a fucking landlord.
Yeah. I mean, it's
You got to find good people. He has right now. What he did was took him a long time. He buys the houses, fixes them up, puts money into them, rents them out, and he'll rent them out to families. And after they're there for like 4 or 5 years, it's your mic again.
Just let it go.
He has a weird like alien noise.
I think there's something wrong with the cord, but it usually adjusts itself.
But he gets the families in there, and after they're there for 4 or 5 years, he gives them the option to say, hey, like, buy, rent to buy kind of thing.
Right.
And because of that, he's like, it's night and day. Night and day now. He said, there's people, like, I get legitimate families, and I have people there forever. And
Yeah. And, it's like once you get, good tenants, you just don't want to lose them.
Did you keep the basement apartment, or did you guys get
No,
rid of it?
so part of the restaurant, reno, demo, whatever, everything in the basement now is part of the restaurant.
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
like-
because that would be kind of weird to
No,
block that off.
yeah, because the way that basement is set up, that apartment had access to everything.
Yeah.
Which I
Plus,
was
you
like,
need
we're not.
storage.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. We needed we use every square foot of that storage at this
Where
point.
would the beers have been set up if they
there's
had
on
the
the
apartment?
so there's 2 sides of that kind of building.
Yeah.
The keg cooler is on the other side. The apartment's on this side. But still, you got access to everything, man. Everything.
So
literally
you're,
everything.
so you're not redoing, but you're getting everything up to code plus I mean, I'm sure the bar was there for 3 years. You
3
probably had
years.
to gut it.
Yeah.
The place is beautiful.
The hood was no longer compliant in the kitchen.
That's a fun, cheap thing to
Yeah,
replace.
exactly.
The Ansel system was hopefully broke.
Right. So we had to rip that out. I mean,
Yeah.
the floor in the kitchen was caving in.
Yep.
The frying oil in the fryer was still there, and
Yep.
it was. The things that we saw
Yes.
was just disgusting.
I know them
We
all.
work for
Yeah.
we work for a cleaning company. We
Yeah.
know.
I worked in
so
restaurants for
you've
years,
seen it.
so
So
We
like,
did.
it-
We did before.
I
Yeah.
was like, never again. Like, so we ripped the restaurant apart, floor to ceiling, walls, everything.
You could
Brand new-
tell the place is. You walk in and I was just like, this place is clean.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is, and we hear that a lot. It is clean. It looks clean. The
Yeah.
bathrooms are clean.
Yeah.
New plumbing, new electricity,
Listen,
new gas.
that's a good giveaway. If you go to a restaurant and the bathrooms are scummy,
Everyone says that. Yeah.
Well,
you have
I mean,
to.
I think it
'Cause
was.
then
it
if
was,
no one takes care of this, they're not taking care
No,
of the kitchen.
It was
No.
something on Bourdain or something that I was watching somewhere, and they said if you go into a restaurant and you go into the bathroom and the bathroom is trashed, that's usually how the kitchen is,
Yeah.
and not to eat there. And I
Yep.
remember one time I was at some just terrible Irish pub on South Street in Philly, and we ordered food, and I was in the bathroom, and like the toilet's overflowing.
Oh,
There's like a
shit.
sign that says to use the ladies' room, and
Yeah.
that thing is going in the back of my head, and I'm like, we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah,
I
there
need-
are
but I need
employees
those
in this
wings.
bathroom.
Well, we got back there, and then they were like, "Hey, the food's taking a little long," and I was like, "Let's just cancel it." And the lady came back. I did. I canceled it, and then we got out of there, and I was like, "Yo, dude, I'm not eating in there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just true because a lot of folks that come in that used to go to O'Malley's and say, "How do the bathrooms look?" Because O'Malley's bathrooms
Oh.
were pretty run down.
That's the other thing too. When you turn it into just a bar first thing, it's just when you're feeding people alcohol like that, like nobody cares about
Nobody cares about anything.
at all.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that was it, and so we didn't start on the restaurant until about 2015. So we bought it again
Wow.
in 2010-11. We
Wow,
didn't start
so
on the
that
15.
long? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
because it was one of those things where, all right, we're approved by zoning. Next step is, do you really want to do it?
Yeah.
It was a great investment.
Yeah.
Building's great.
Yeah, because technically you could just do the apartments and
Could
rent
do-
the bottom out.
Exactly, to a restaurant owner or
Yeah.
someone that's has the aspiration to open a restaurant. So we were like, well, let's hold a minute. And I was still trying to figure out that New York PA thing
Yeah.
because I was commuting back and forth.
Good for you. That's so important to take a step back. And I'm just starting to do it just after years of not doing it and then being like, okay, maybe we should start gauging what we really want to do here.
Yeah, and that's huge because I think there are a lot of folks that are good at being impulsive and go right into things and do well.
Yeah.
And other folks that
Or if you have a creative idea and you want to jam it down because you just want to get it out of you,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like more like an artist wanting to paint type
Yeah.
thing, and then you don't pay attention to what you're doing, and then it
And then
comes to
it's
the
like-
point where you're like, this is messed up.
And
what
that-
did I do? Why
that's
am
a-
I in this right now?
That's a great point because I think that happens not only in the restaurant industry but a lot of industries where you jump in really quick and you're not ready for it.
No.
And that's so dangerous in the restaurant industry where you've got social media that just
Oh
can
my
bury
god!
you.
All it takes is one person.
And you know
Yeah.
what? And it's rough because I can tell you, like Yelp is the worst thing
Oh.
in the world. It's the worst thing in the world
It
because you
is,
can have
yeah.
one person who's just a mean person
Yeah.
who can go, I can tell you. Oh, I had a lady the one time call. I mean, I'm a bail bond company. I mean, how, I'm dealing with people that are in prison. All right. And she called up. She's like, I'm going to give you a bad review on Yelp because you refused to help my family. And I said, so you're going to make a bail bondsman look bad.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
You can't do that.
You
Good
can't.
luck.
They already think we're scumbags.
Yeah, good luck.
So
Yeah,
much
right.
we can't advertise on Google now.
Right.
Google doesn't give us ads because we're considered pawnbrokers or money lenders. So we can't do ads in Google. We can't do ads in half the places. We can't have certain credit card machines because we're considered on the same lines as like a gun store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't make it any worse.
It's tough. I mean, look, there's a love-hate with social media, and I think for us, after we got through the whole period of time of trying to get this reapproved of zoning, buying the building, getting an agreement on price, and all that stuff, dealing with the tenant base, finally saying, all right, we're going to go with this. We got an architect in place.
Sure.
We got all the plans approved, and then starting the process to get the renovation done in 2015. It took us a year and a half. Now, we slow walked it.
Yeah.
We definitely slow walked it. Leading up to that, before even I moved back to PA, I spent a lot of time, like I said, not only as just a customer in a lot of restaurants and bars, but I also intentionally researched places that I enjoyed.
I was going to say, how fun was the design process of working with an architect and doing the whole layout?
So it's interesting. The architect just helped with the layout, helped with the mechanical and all the technical aspects of it, and walls.
Like, this will work here, this won't work
Exactly.
here.
This is what you need to do in terms of getting approved by third-party review. Design-wise, what I did when I was living in New York...
Is it laid out the same way? Was O'Malley's laid out the same exact way? Because I didn't realize, like, when I went in there, I thought the first half that you were in was the only half. And then because I sat down at the end of the bar and I go,
I remember that.
I looked at you and I
was
so excited. I go, oh my God. I go, there's a whole nother part.
There's another part. No, it was, the bar area was exactly the same.
Yeah.
The only thing we did was we took the ceilings up.
Yeah.
Because I just hate those
I love
ceilings.
high ceilings.
Yeah, exactly. So we took the ceilings up. We were initially going to do part of it. So let's just do it throughout. We did it throughout. The other side, you couldn't do it because it's an elevated floor, 2-3 steps up. So there wasn't room to do things unless we wanted to take out the stairs and flatten it, which would have costed a ton of money.
Yeah.
Other side, design-wise, O'Malley's was, if you walked into the other side, directly to your right when you walked up the stairs, there was a little bit of a room there with some TVs. Bathrooms, room, and room with a pool table. So it was 3-4 separate rooms. What we did is we blew through it and made it one big open space. Because I just,
open space is
everyone
breathable.
Wants to, exactly. People want to see what's going on around them. They don't want to be compartmentalized and feel like they're looking.
Then you start dealing with like people who are claustrophobic. They don't want to come back.
They just don't want to come back. So that was important. But I, leading up to it, like design wise, what I did was, as I knew that we were going to we didn't have the building at the time. I didn't know the building was for sale at the time. So what I was doing was I was spending one night a week picking places in New York that I enjoyed and just went there by myself with a notebook. Took notes down. What do I like about this place? What do I not like about this place? I got brands of plateware and stuff like that. I looked up, if I saw a light that I liked, I would ask the bartender, could you, whatever, random stuff like that.
I used to, when I started the clothing company, I used to go into PacSun all the time, and I would look at all right, well, what's the material of this?
Yeah.
What's selling? I'd walk around the store, and they'd always be like, can I help you with anything? And I was like, no. And I was just looking how companies brand stuff. It's important to do that.
But that's huge, and that's as I'm sure you can appreciate. It's that's if you don't do that,
you're obnoxious. You're obnoxious to the fact that you think that you know how to do something that you have no idea how to do.
So when people come in and say, "Wow, the place looks great. Who designed it?" and I say, "Look, I kind of designed it myself with the help of my wife, my brother, who are." Also involved in my brother-in-law and sister, but I was like, look, my ideas are ideas that I took from other places that I liked, and I combined them. I'm not
make it your own.
Yeah, I'm not that creative. I mean, I just walked into a lot of places and took elements that I liked. So we did that, and like I said, 2015 started the process. Finished in July, August of 2016, opened the doors.
Who did all the woodworking in there? Because you primarily have a large amount of just clean.
Yeah, so the bar's original.
Wood.
It's over 100 years old, the bar itself. And if you look closely at the bar, at least from folks that the electrician that did the electricity 40 plus years ago in a prior incarnation of it, because it's been bar, restaurant, tavern.
Did you have to refurnish it all or anything?
We stripped it down and refinished it. Took all the gum out from underneath the bar and all the tables, whatever. So that was fun. But if you look closely at the bar, you'll notice that it's not wood grain, it's black dots when people used to be able to smoke and put their cigarettes on the bar. So it's pretty neat. You see a little bit of that character there. And the back bars are all original. So that bar is over 100 years old. The story behind it is I was told that at some point, one of the owners, I think the prior to us, the building owner, went to a bar called the Gaslight Tavern on, somewhere on 6th and Linden or whatnot, and bought that bar and brought it up to that building. So... I
didn't even know there was a bar on the other side.
Well, no, the front side that you sat on.
Yeah.
That side. So, but the owner that owned the building before bought it from another place and installed what you were sitting at. And honestly, that bar is the centerpiece of the whole building. Yeah. The restaurant, like even if we were in this business, I would never let anyone touch that bar. That bar is, just
you going
gorgeous.
Into a restaurant, because I have a friend, Jer, who helps out with all the lighting and everything, and he's probably the first person I found that was really into food as much as I was, and we would start going to places. When you go into a restaurant, do you prefer sitting at a table or do you prefer sitting at the bar?
I prefer the bar.
Yes,
or high tops.
See, because I never did that. I was always a table person.
No,
And then he
man.
said to me the one day, he's like, "Hey, he's like, let's sit at the bar." And I go, "Why do you always want to sit at the bar?" And he goes, "That's where everything is." He
That's
goes,
where everything
He
happens.
goes, "Your bartenders are there."
Yeah.
He goes, "Now you're going to interact with." He goes, "If it's a good bartender, they're talking to
Yeah.
you." Like we used to go to Black and Blue when it was originally Black and Blue in Easton before it changed hands, and that bar had everything on point. You would
Yeah.
go there, the bartenders are talking to you, and then the lighting was correct. And then I always ask that to people now, like, do you prefer? And then now when I go in, I push for the bar because it is the best experience.
It
You start
is.
talking to the bartenders. That's when all the jokes start happening.
Yeah.
If you sit at a table, you're more than likely just bitching about work.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, like even when I would go into places in New York and try to do research, I'd sit at the bar by myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit at a two-top
Dude,
table.
bartenders are some of the most
Yeah.
interesting people you're going to talk to.
Or the conversation that you have with the person next to you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the thing that I loved about New York,
Yep.
and miss a lot about it. But like, yeah, that was huge. So,
Because you were like, "Do you want to sit? Is at the end of the bar good?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, this is perfect."
This is perfect, yeah.
Because then there was interactions where I was close enough to the kitchen where I could see in there, and then because I worked in kitchens, I could hear stuff and know it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Man, they're busy." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's probably a ton of stress in there."
Yeah.
And then the bartenders are coming over, and then it's cool. From having worked in the industry, I always kind of like just dabbling in because like if you've been in that world, you know what
what's
it
going
is.
on.
There's no
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors.
No, there is. It's not.
I
It's
feel
not
like
glamorous.
I feel like everyone should have to work at least for a weekend in a kitchen, and it would change how you act in a restaurant.
I would agree. And I think to your question earlier about why did you get into this? And by no stretch did I think this was glamorous based on sitting on the other side and whatnot. So and it's not easy work. I did enough
No, it
research
is
to know
not.
that. I wasn't naive.
That's why my first question was,
Yeah.
why the hell did you
Why
open
would
a
you do
restaurant?
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell people, as much as it was a dream, it's been a nightmare, right? In many ways.
Dude, it's
right?
stress.
It's stress.
Employees,
yeah.
people quitting,
Everything.
firing.
Yeah,
and then
not showing up.
Then their lives become it becomes like a family atmosphere where like if shit's going on at home, like it's affecting the person.
yeah.
Even a waitress,
yeah.
a single waitress with a kid, and you know what I mean. Like
and there's a lot of that going on.
It's heavy, man.
Yeah, it's heavy, man. So we opened the doors in August of 2016, and
what was it like having it completely done before you guys opened the door? Because I'm sure there was time where it was just your family in there being like, "Holy shit, man! Like, there's a restaurant. This took
Yeah.
like 4 years."
yeah, I mean, I think that feeling of getting through that process of building it,
Yeah.
one, and two, just being on edge.
Did you take it in, or were you just like, open the fucking door?
I took it in.
Let's go.
I took it in,
Yeah.
but I think the biggest concern was like, how do you fill the seats?
Yeah.
Because
how do you get how do you
how do you
start
get
out?
how do you get butts on seats rather? And that's the thing. Like, but the challenge you have is we're not on Main Strip. We weren't on Hamilton Street. We're not on Main Street in Bethlehem or Broad Street in Bethlehem. And while it was O'Malley's, it had been 7 years. And let's face it, people that went to O'Malley's, me included, loved O'Malley's. And
Yeah. They're great wings.
and it was like, wait a minute, something else is opening and it's not O'Malley's, and you worry about that mindset and that thought
Well, at
process.
least I think you got some stuff in the paper though,
Yeah,
saying like, hey, O'Malley's is reopening under a new thing. So at least you got some free.
we did, and that helped a lot. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. And let's face it, a lot of the folks that were
But see, so technically, bad press can be good press.
and I would agree with you on that.
Because then there are people complaining and the newspapers running to them going, well, what did you guys not
Yeah.
like about it? Got your name out there.
Yeah, exactly. And
So, yeah.
and a lot of the folks that went to O'Malley's, me included, and you guys have been, they're at different points in their lives. They weren't looking to kind of
I was 21.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm in 2006. I don't even know what I was, but I'm older than you guys. But it was fun. It was fun. It was great while it lasted. But a lot of those folks are now in their mid to late 30s, early 40s. They're not doing the things that they did when they were 21,
No.
25, whatever. So
But I think a lot has changed though as well. Like I feel like some of the generation coming up would prefer to spend their 20s in a restaurant like you have.
I would agree.
As opposed to, I
would
mean, you
agree.
definitely have your downtown blackout drunk
Yeah.
kids in Bethlehem or whatnot.
Absolutely.
But there's also a very big crowd that is more restaurant-esque and don't want to deal with
they
that
don't want to
bullshit
deal with
at
that.
all.
Yeah, and that's like, be careful what you wish for too, because
Yeah.
while you get a lot of drinkers, or you could potentially get a lot of drinkers,
Yeah.
you want that that ambiance in there when you've
Fist
got
fights, man.
no, and that was the thing.
My buddy opened a restaurant. He was open for maybe 2 years, if that, and it was just fist fights. Crazy, like they
Yeah.
were nuisance. Shut down. I worked up there I was there for a year, and I called 911 so many times they stopped showing up
because they were just.
They knew what it was.
Yeah.
The owner.
Well, you know what though? But I remember even when I was early 20s and stuff. I used to love like Brewworks and stuff in
Sure.
Bethlehem.
Yeah.
When they opened up the steel garden downstairs, when it was just a lounge.
Yeah.
Just music. You sit on a couch, you drink a beer.
It was nice, right?
And it was wonderful. But then, like anything else, assholes show up.
Right?
And they're like, let's watch football. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not that kind of bar.
That's not that kind of place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can watch that upstairs. Like, this is supposed to be just relaxed.
Yeah.
That's what
They
New
didn't
York
get
has
it.
a lot
Yeah.
of that kind of places when you can just hang out.
Yeah, that exactly, and I think people appreciate that for sure. So, yeah, we opened the doors, and again, going back to your question about how did it feel like before we opened the doors, there was that anxiety of like, are we going to get seats and filled and all that stuff, and that was the part that I was the most concerned about because that space hadn't been open for 7 years at that point. It's not on a main strip. It's tucked away in a neighborhood.
That's my favorite part about it.
I know, but you know what?
You got to go there first.
And it's like in the spirit of podcasts, I know I told you about some podcasts that I listened to. There's a very successful restaurant in New York that's kind of grown to like 8 or more, whatever it is right now. And I remember listening to the two founders of that restaurant. And I walked into their restaurant before it even opened. It was on the same block that I lived on in the Lower East Side. And at the time, this building, I don't think it was in play, or maybe it started to become in play, the O'Malley's building and that whole real estate situation in the zoning board. It wasn't quite there. I knew that potentially, but I was like, if there's any places closing in New York while I'm living here, I'm going to buy the furniture from there. Like, why not? Like, these people are going to unload shit for cheap price. So it was a noodle place, and it was literally a block away from where we live, my wife and I. So I went and I called, and one of the owners, or the soon-to-be founders or operators of the restaurant that's come, answers like, so-and-so. I said, hey, look, I live up the street. Do you have any furniture from the old place that's going to open? Or close, rather? And he said, yeah, I do, actually. I was like, do you mind if I come take a look at it? Absolutely. And I went in there, and he was in there by himself, and they had these beautiful cast iron, like, bases for tables and, like, stainless steel chairs. I said, I'll buy all this stuff from you. And I was like, it was cheap. He's like, I don't know. What do you want to give me? So as I'm walking out, I'm like, what are you planning on opening here? And he's like, we're going to open a meatball shop. And
That's kind of cool.
Eight locations later, American Express commercials and all, like Larry King Live. I'm telling you, like literally.
Yeah.
And I listened to one of their podcasts, and they were being, it was Larry King actually, and it was like, so what did it feel like to open that space? He goes, do you ever throw a party? Yeah. You ever throw a party and just hope people show up?
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, well, the only difference is this was with $500,000 of someone else's money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he's like,
That's the perfect
you know what?
description.
Yeah,
That's the
it's like-
perfect description.
That's the kind of thing that opens, though.
Yeah.
Like a meatball shop.
Yeah. But
I still love, there was one, where was I at? Down south. They had a mashed potato bar. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Brilliant.
And it's like every kind of mashed potatoes with all the stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it.
To your-
But then you got to think, how many fucking mashed potatoes you got to sell to make any kind of money?
Absolutely. You're right. And it's again, it's volume. Like a meatball shop in New York City will work. There's a lot of pizza joints around Nazareth, as you mentioned earlier, but like, just taking a chance on a concept is important. I think that's kind of the whole thing. And
I've down south, they have ice cream places. I'm all in.
yeah.
They have the old, the super cold plates, and then they mix all the stuff, and you pick like strawberries and toppings, and it's just liquid, and they pour it on the cold plate, spread it thin, and then they literally roll it into rolls and put it in the cups, and it's literally just ice cream in these frozen rolls, and I'm like,
That's legit.
dude, I could make
There's nothing like that here.
No,
Right?
and I
Well,
I
Stone
immediately
Cold Creamery does that, don't they?
kind of. They do it and they chop it up and put it in a thing.
Yeah,
but I
they just
told her,
gotta
I
put
was
the ice
like,
cream on
it
there.
was called like roll it up or something. So I immediately sent it to like Vic. I was like, hey, you have money.
Yeah.
You
Let's
should,
do
you
this.
should- if you open this up, like I'll help you.
Yeah.
This is gold. And I sent him pictures. He goes, they're doing what? And I go, they're rolling ice cream. And I sent him pictures. He goes, that is just amazing.
Yeah.
And it's all fresh fruit, all stuff. And I go, damn. And down there, it's are all over the place.
Yeah. And it's like,
But I'm afraid if you bring it up here, people will be like, oh, yeah, like you said, the little Stone Cold Cream, they do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It might work. I mean, it all depends on how you open it, what you do. There's a million. There's too many variables.
And that's the thing, though, too. Like as I've kind of researched and listened to, different entrepreneurs, whether it's restaurants or whatnot, and in particular restaurants, but like some people are more lucky than others. They open the doors and the floodgates open, right? With us, the floodgates did not open when we first opened in 2016. I tell people this in the restaurant, customers, regulars that have been with us from day one. I was like, I remember a year and a half ago, I looked at my brother. I was like, look, if this don't turn soon, we're screwed, right?
Now, do you have do the people that live around there that didn't want it there, do they eat there? Has any of them?
Yeah, so
has any of them told you?
I'm glad that you asked that.
Yes.
I think the only thing that people complain about is parking.
Okay.
Because while the parking lot's there, we can only fit so many cars, and then they start to occupy spots on the street.
It's a valid point, but I also don't think it's something to bitch about. If you're going to a restaurant and it's hard to get a parking spot. It means the foods are good. Food's good, and
he's talking about the people that live there
in the neighborhood.
Are complaining about there's no parking.
People are
for
taking
them.
their spots.
Oh, yeah.
I look, and I get that. I would say I would counter it this way. Like I'm doing my best. Like if I see someone pulling up to the front of the restaurant, that's kind of looking for a spot, I run out and say parking lot in the back. Like because at that point, because it's 10:30 at brunch or whatever, it might be 5:30 dinner and the parking lot's not completely full. I make every effort to make sure that people go into the back parking lot and park.
But you know what? It's got to be better now with like Uber and some people are going to take. They're not going to drive.
I know what?
In Allentown, there's millions of them.
And there's a lot of Ubers.
I introduced that to my boss because he's a little behind. But he had to go and he was like, I want to go to the airport. And can you guys take me? I said, no, just call Uber. I don't know how to do it. I said, it's built into your phone. Just turn it on.
Just turn it on.
And he turned it on. He just goes, wow. Yeah. And I go, and it was super cheap.
Yeah.
He goes, how do I tip these people? I don't know what to tip them.
Yeah.
But like there's so many things like that opportunity opened up the whole city. You can do it. You don't have to drive.
Well, we were talking about parking, and he was saying that like,
I hate it.
There's tenants around here that'll park in front of his house, and I said to him, I go, sometimes when I'm at the studio and whatnot, I park. I just bought a parking spot recently because I've just had so many parking tickets, but there's spots right behind the studio on a strip, and I say to him, I go, when I started parking there, I started looking at like what spots were usually open, who was parking, whether or not it was like a like I wouldn't park, even if when I was coming to your restaurant, like I wouldn't park directly in front of somebody's home.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, I have the problem because I live down here, and I have the problem that we own the house, and people that live uptown here in these apartments drive their car to the front of my house and park it, and they get out and they have backpacks on, and they don't move their car for a whole week.
Right.
Then it's a problem. Like if you're going to park there and you're going to go, they don't work.
Yeah. So
they just dump their car off and it's free parking because there's no meters. So then we have to call the cops and say like, this car's been sitting here but I understand their problem. But I often wondered that like people that complain like that, if they ever like came in the restaurant and be like, hey man, I was sorry. I kind of raised my hand.
I'm glad you bring that up because there was one woman that lived across the street on Fulton Street. And when we went to the first zoning board meeting, and they asked how many oppose, how many approve, and all the hands shot up for disapprove, rather, or not in favor. And she was the first person to get on the stand, right?
Yeah.
And she spent almost 10 minutes on the stand. Why she didn't? Right. So 3-4 years later, she babysits our kids.
Oh, there you go.
Honest to God, man. Like she's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think it just took a minute for her to realize that we're not what she might have thought we were.
Well, yeah,
and that's part of the problem.
In her defense, they didn't know.
No, they didn't. And I totally respect that. I totally respect that. And there's no one walking out of that restaurant at any point in the day stumbling out, pissing on someone's yard, throwing bottles, whatever. That is not happening. If anyone's complaining, it's like, shit, I can't.
If that's your only complaint, that's not that bad.
And we're looking to remediate that type of stuff. Like we're doing stuff to try to figure that out, but at the same time, it is a city, and in a city, that's just the reality of it.
It's the same thing as
just the fact that you have a parking lot that has that many cars.
I didn't know you guys had a parking lot.
We do.
It's great because there is no parking.
No, there isn't. And like I said, there are a lot of restaurants in the city of Allentown that have zero parking.
No, go down the main drag. Where they did the new fixed everything.
Yeah.
None of those places have.
No, you're paying.
Yeah, I use it very loosely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're paying and there's no parking.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're parking on the street
Absolutely.
and then, oh no, and they have I still laugh. They have this big signs up like park here for free.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as park here
No,
for free.
there isn't.
No.
They've changed the law recently or something
the
like that.
The meters suck now.
Non-event weekends, they're doing that after 5, which is smart. I'm glad they're doing that because look, a successful downtown is just it's only better for everyone else around. So.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the biggest complaint right now. I think the other thing too is imagine a vacant restaurant or commercial property. Like it's not good for the neighborhood otherwise. You have an
Your
active
values go down.
Right, your house value go down. You have an active, vibrant business with activity in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's a deterrent to.
Yes, nobody's going to do anything to enter their houses, their cars, because there's
yeah,
people always around.
Exactly. And, when we first bought the building and there was nothing going on in that restaurant, there were a lot of handoffs going on in that parking lot. Trust me.
But, how awesome is it that you can live right there and you're like, I don't feel like cooking. You can go across the street and have a wonderful place to eat. Like, no, people don't have that.
And I think part of the problem that we have is people peer into the restaurant now and they probably look at it and don't see it as a bar and grill.
Yeah.
They see it as, I mean, like you said, it's like it looks different, and you might walk in there and think like, look, I don't know if I could eat here that often, but when you can go and get a burger and a beer for $10, you tell me where you're gonna go get a burger and a beer for $10.
Yeah,
And
I told you,
burger.
I said the only time I was seeing stuff like that. I mean, everybody runs specials, but that special you were running, I saw that down in Virginia when I lived in the college town in the Fan, and there was what's funny is they had restaurants that were like trying to do stuff in PA, and I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're like, oh, we have tater tots and pork roll. I'm like,
Virginia,
what? But there was a place that they did that weekly, and the place was jammed out. But it was like people being like, yo, we're going to get $10 burgers. It's a good burger. It's $10 and you get a beer. It's a solid meal. You're spending $10 and you're out. Like,
and that
we did it every I think we did it, I think it was Wednesdays they did it at the place, and I went with my brother every Wednesday. He's like, what are we doing for dinner? He's like, $10 burger.
Yeah, why would you even think about it? Right, yeah. And we do wing nights.
Yeah.
And
your wings look ridiculous, which gets me into segueing into how did you tackle who's running the kitchen, and how did you get hiring somebody to serve that ridiculously good food that you do?
Yeah, so we started out in 2015. We brought on the chef that opened Bell Hall down on Hamilton Street.
Yep.
So he was at Bell Hall and super creative, talented dude. He brought we told him what we were thinking in terms
and then
of the
did
menu.
he make the menu for you?
He did. So I again, having done a ton of research, being in a lot of restaurants, I told him what we were thinking about, and he put a menu together, and a lot of what he put together 3+ years ago is still there.
What did you serve me? That Madame
Croque Madame.
Yeah.
So it's Croque Monsieur. It's
ridiculous.
But that's a perfect example. Like that's a meal.
I asked you, and like that's the other thing too, is if you have someone who's like interacting, the owner's interacting and sitting people and whatnot, like what do you suggest? And like, because you were like, oh, what do you?
How hungry are you?
Yeah,
I think
you're
I
like,
might have
you
asked
hungry,
you.
and I'm like, yeah.
And that was a meal, right?
Yeah,
like that, you walked away feeling full. Like that's like bechamel sauce. It's got
Dude, it was ridiculous.
It was really good.
I said to you, I go, there were so many layers to that, and what stood out the most was the bread was so fresh.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't had a breakfast where like the toast was like the star.
Here's a funny story, because you bring that whole thing about toast up, and we had someone come in and sit down for brunch on a Saturday, and she said, "What kind of toast do you have?" I said, and I wasn't the person that was waiting. Obviously, I didn't talk to the table, but one of the servers like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I need to see the toast. Are they rounded corners or square corners?"
Oh my God.
Because she, what she was thinking was it's not a legitimate. She's like, you go in the diner, you get really thin toast with square corners. It
Wonder
doesn't have
bread.
the flavor. Right, Wonder Bread, exactly. Yeah. And she was like, all right, you guys got good toast here. So I'm glad that you recognized the fact that toast is like...
No, because it kept standing out, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, because there were so many flavors to it, and it was just like, I was like, oh my God, there's this sauce, then there's the egg.
And then there's the arugula.
And then the arugula worked with it too, where at first I was like, well,
why would you serve greens with it? Right?
That's what I was thinking, but then when I mixed it in, I was like, no, it goes. And then there was like the side of the potatoes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, holy shit, this is... and then I was like, all right, they're not fucking around. This is no joke. This is now in my top 3 places. Yeah. And I texted my buddy who I go to food's place. I was like, Union&Finch. I said, we got to clear the menu. Yeah. And he was like, all right, we'll start going up there.
Let me know when you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm there most of the time where my wife is, or my brother is on the weekends. But yeah, it just at the end of the day, it became clear.
Was the burger a staple right off the bat?
It was, and the reason why is because living in New York, you have a lot of good burgers. You can attest to that.
And you almost have to have a good burger.
You have to have a good burger, because if you can't do a good burger, then you're kind of screwed.
If you can't make a good burger,
you're
your
screwed.
restaurant
Yeah, you're stick. Yeah. So and we work with Purveyor out of North Jersey. Used to be in the meatpacking district in the city.
Yeah, you have to get most of your stuff fresh, correct?
We do. There's honestly very little that's not made from scratch in that restaurant, and that becomes a challenge when you're dealing with a kitchen that's only a foot and a half larger than what O'Malley's was. And we have a menu on brunch and dinner that's pretty sizable, so that's tough. We're actually getting the process of getting hopefully a prep area in the basement approved by the city of Allentown, which it should happen. We just got to go through the motions and get everything in there.
Pay the money.
There you go.
They're like, oh, you want to do that? Oh, yeah, but you have to pay us.
Oh, well, you have to use our architect. Draw up the plans.
You're like,
$375.
wait, I can't just put a cooler down there and a cutting board and like tell someone to go down there. I have to set this all up through you.
Got to follow the rules. Yeah. So, and
I mean, you end up screwing yourself when you don't.
You don't, right? I mean, we hear stories now where it's kind of scary, but and I think from day one with them. Believe it or not, since we started the process when we got approved for zoning, it's been fine. It's just like you keep people involved.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Plus, you're doing what you said you were going to do.
Exactly.
You're not running a frat house.
Exactly. And when we got the architect plans approved by a third party and we started the construction, every 3 months someone was coming in from the city.
Yeah. Make sure you're following what you're supposed to do.
I don't want to deal with that shit 12 months later, finding out you have to unravel a ton of stuff.
Yeah, once you're done, you go, and they go, no.
No, right.
Start over.
Forget that.
How much leeway and room did you give the chef to kind of do his own thing?
Certainly enough leeway based on the concept. I think we really knew what we wanted to do based on the demographic. Like he had opened a restaurant in downtown Allentown. He knows what the demographic was. Yeah,
it's nice.
It's nice, right?
It's nice.
Yeah.
So if he came from there, and you would have to let him just show me what you can do, because if you would have gave him a menu. It's like you're handcuffing
you're handcuffing them, right? Yeah. So we just said, "Here's some ideas." He's like, "What are you looking for conceptually?" I said, "Here's some ideas," and then he went with it. And realizing that we're smack dab in the middle. 15th Street is the dividing line between downtown, West End, really. And while we're not quite traditional West End, we're close enough that we're one block over from 15th Street, really, and. We needed to make sure that it was an accessible menu again for a wide audience. I mean, we're 2 miles from Wegmans, and on Cedar Crest Boulevard, right? And there's a lot going on in that area, and West End of Allentown and downtown. So, I think the thing that I'm, certainly really happy about 3 years into this is the range of people that we see walking into the restaurant. I think that's super important. People feel that. As I said earlier, I think there was a concern you peer in. That looks fancy. Yeah, it might look fancy, but it's warm and cozy. Yeah. And at the same time, there's something for everyone, I think, for the most part. And, if your disposable income isn't, a doctor's disposable income or a lawyer's disposable, you can come have a burger and beer for $10.
Yeah.
You can have wings half price.
I didn't think anything was crazily priced on the menu at all.
And I think part of the benefit for us is we own the building. Owning the building was huge. If we didn't own the building, we were leasing from someone else or whatever.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It'd be a different story.
Now, when you said that it opened and you didn't have a lot of people coming in, what transitioned it over to? I mean, when I went there, you guys were slammed.
Yeah. So first year and a half. Yeah, everyone says, look, you got to make it for the first year. I think it's 3 years.
Yeah,
it's not
first
1
year
year.
doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Because if you didn't set yourself up to,
But I think it was the first year if you rent.
Yes.
If you own the building. You got to be more than that.
Yeah, exactly. And the reality is, if you didn't set yourself up to succeed with the failures in the first year financially, then you weren't thinking this through. So look
at how many restaurants came into downtown Allentown with revenue, and they were there. Some of them weren't even a year.
Not even a year.
And the ones that were there for a year and then they're gone, here and gone, here and gone.
Yeah. As I said earlier, I think a successful downtown translates into successful periphery, but I think getting through the first year was important. We got through the first year and a half. I was like, and mind you, I'm still working a full-time job at that point.
Yeah, because that's what you were telling me too. Is that that's just insane insane.
Yeah,
that
7
you're
days a week.
running
so
a
you're,
restaurant.
You're
Yeah.
stressed from your normal job, and then you're getting a call like, "Hey, we have a problem here." So now you get double stress.
Double stress, yeah. And while it was insane,
How many employees do you have?
right now?
Yeah.
Just over 25.
Holy,
Yeah,
how many do you have in the kitchen? Because if you're doing all that stuff from
Yeah,
scratch, there's a decent amount there,
we
right?
have between the cooking staff and the dish staff, we probably have about a dozen right now. Yeah, so, but to your question about what turned it, I think a year and a half in, if I were to give any piece of advice to someone out there, that if you're able to do it, I'm not saying it's smart, and you've got a job, like I went to school for this job,
Yeah.
I worked in this job for 20 plus years, try to hold that job while you're trying to do something else.
It's extremely important.
It's important.
I talk to the guys from Finishers all the time, and Zach is he's brought a business from nothing to a franchise thing that he runs with JM, and both of them have such solid advice. But like Zach always told me, like when you're trying to do something, you should always have that side hustle or you have that side job. And even with like me leaving my job at the post office and figuring out a business to turn this into, I've been working part-time just washing dishes. And it's like, I don't want to do that for a living. I only chose it because I didn't want to get back into cooking.
Yeah.
But like, that's what I was saying earlier, where like it allows me to take a step back where I have guaranteed cash coming in. I work super part-time, but it's like, it's so important for me not to stress about paying my bills.
Yeah.
But now, since I'm doing this correctly and having income coming in and building it at the same time and learning and growing with it, it's now where it's to the point where I'm like, okay, I can probably do all of December and what I'll learn in those 30 days and with how much business is coming in with doing the subcontracting for t-shirts and doing all this different stuff and the what this and whatnot is, I can do this full time, but it's so much smarter to do it that way than to just jump into it and be like, this is it,
Totally.
all or nothing.
Totally.
Because it's like, if I would have done that and started missing rent and started doing shit where they're like, hey, I like, I'm friends with you and I like what you guys are doing down here, but you need to pay me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
so true, man.
Like, what am I gonna?
We love you, Jay. You would let us stay for free.
Like, what am I gonna pretend that I'm gonna make money?
Yeah, but
I have to figure it out.
And that's a jerk move too. You don't put your friend in that position, because then it's just like, hey, man.
And I think a lot of people, like, I don't want to be a dishwasher.
No, right.
Like I'm completely overqualified to, but that's the thing too, is like, I don't mind working there because I'm back in a kitchen, and it, like, I love working in a kitchen. You meet some of the coolest people ever that are cooking. They've obviously been through some stuff. I can always relate to people. I can give advice to people that are just starting in a kitchen. Like, I'm always like, I made a breakfast sandwich with the head chef today, and I'm like, yo, dude, what would you do differently on that? And you just start talking to people who know food. Like, I love that environment. Do I want to do that anymore? No, man, I'm getting older. I don't like stress like that. I don't like having 19 tickets and being like, oh, let's see if we can clear it. Like, that was in my 20s, man. I had different monsters back then.
I know, man. And I think to your point, what you just touched on without saying it, it's like, having worked in kind of a corporate mindset and atmosphere, being in this restaurant industry right now, you meet people and just with different backgrounds, which to me is so amazing. It's so amazing to me. And that's the most fulfilling part, is like, you start to realize, like, everyone's got something going on in their life.
Everywhere I worked that I cooked, I still talk to the people that I worked in the kitchen. I worked down in Virginia with my buddy Billy, and he knew more than me, but he was working underneath a bunch of chefs. They always had problems with the chefs. He eventually turned into the head chef, ran the restaurant, and then now owns his own barbecue joint down in Virginia. But it's like, I worked with that dude. I still talk to him. Like, we went through a year of like shit. Like, it was just me and him, and we had to get through the trenches. And there's just something with working on that line with somebody, and you're just picking yourself up, and you're going through some shit together.
Totally.
And it's like, you're in that moment. It doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life. This food has to go out. It has to be the way that the owner wants it, and it has to be on this timeline. Another kid when I worked at the deli was this dude Alessandro. He's from Sicily. Like, he just used to work at a coffee shop and make pizzas in Sicily. Like, I talk to all those people. I've worked in factories. I don't talk to any of those people.
Yeah.
There's just, it's a different type of thing working in a kitchen.
Different animal. And I think I have such a gained appreciation for just what people are dealing with on a day-to-day, man. And they come in and they put their workers hat on and just go to town, man. And I think that's the challenge. Like, I think 3 years in, the biggest issue that we've had is having a stable staff, really. That's
Yeah.
gonna
It's
be an
always,
issue.
it's anywhere.
That's anywhere,
I've
right.
worked in every restaurant. It's always like you got 2 good guys, you need 3, and the third person's always not all the way in.
No, exactly, and that's restaurant industry. I
And then,
think-
or you get all 3, and then one of them's just like, I'm gonna go do this on my own.
Yes.
And then it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not easy. When I ran the deli, that was the first time I was hiring people, and then like, I don't know. And then I feel old saying it, but the way kids are now coming up, like it's just a whole other
they wanna work?
version of work ethic.
I told someone that they want to work, but they don't want to work.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the
Man,
reality.
I need to pay these
No,
bills.
they like the idea
Yes.
of being
Yeah.
a cook.
Yes.
And then they start getting paid, and they're like, "Well, I should probably be getting more money." Well, you're not really doing anything either.
Yep.
You
It's
like
all
the
funny.
idea of
It's all
saying
funny
you're
Yeah.
games until there's
There's
those
work.
tickets come in,
Yeah.
and somebody until you're sweating and somebody goes, "We're in the weeds."
Yeah.
It's usually a server, and then you'll hear one of the servers go, "We're almost out of the weeds."
Yeah.
And then there's a breaking point, and it's like, all right, but there.
And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, you get punched in the face.
I'm sure
again.
you guys get hammered pretty hard.
We do. I think, like most places in the Valley, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are pretty chill. I mean, Thursdays for us with Burger and Beer are pretty intense.
Yeah.
A lot of burgers, obviously, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like a lot of restaurants. If you're doing well, you're doing well on Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Yeah.
And Sundays, we'll see anywhere from 200 to 250 people for brunch, and that's
Dude,
like
that
a 3-hour
brunch-
time frame.
When I went in there, and like, cause somebody asked me, they're like, cause I go to breakfast spots all the time, and I think Tim on the last podcast was asking, and he was like, "Where do you put it?" And
Yeah.
I was just like, "It's in my top 2." Like, there's
That's awesome.
the breakfast
Thank you.
table over in Palmer. They're like award winning.
I've heard about that place.
Dude,
I
they
gotta
don't
check
screw
that.
around over there. It's worth going to. It's worth the
Yeah.
drive over
Small?
there to go. It's small. I would call, make a reservation, because
Yeah.
someone was like, "I gotta wait," and I was just
7
like,
days a week breakfast? Or
no,
weekends?
he's got it set up where it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's it. Like they used to be every day,
That's
and
awesome.
then it was like Monday.
They don't even do
They
Sundays.
closed Monday. Oh no, they do Sundays.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but they closed Monday, Tuesday, and I'm like, that's because he's killing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he closed those days because he wants them off.
Yeah.
And, like when you get to a point like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But they're really good. Mitzi's table on 191,
Sure,
like neck
I've
and
heard of
neck with
Mitzi's.
that.
Yeah.
But then after you're having yours, it was such a different meal where it was like kind of southern and reminded me of something like my grandmother would make.
Yeah.
But then it was like it had like this different tone to it where I was like, it's not really southern. I couldn't place what exactly
It was.
not what it was, but like where all the, like what you were saying before, like
profile.
there's like different like not fusions, but there's different
Yeah.
spins on like
Yeah,
what you guys are trying to
absolutely.
do there.
It's not a traditional one.
No, but
Yeah.
it felt traditional, but it was non-traditional. And then I was just when I went on my Insta story and talked about that shit,
saw that.
like that was a 100%
I know,
reaction
I know,
where I was
man.
like,
I appreciate
"Holy
it.
shit, this is so good!"
Yeah.
But I think it's in my top neck where it's fighting neck and neck with the breakfast table.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Because I told my buddy Jared, I was
It's-
like, he's like, "Well, what do you think?" And I go, "I think we would," because he goes every Sunday. They used to live in Tatamy, and that's their spot to go to breakfast. And every now and then they'll steer off, and then they'll go somewhere else, and they'll be like, this is okay, but it's not that. But I when I called him, I was like, "Yo, man," I was like, "It's worth packing the family up, driving over there, and going." And he's like, "All right, cool." I was like, "Plus they got booze."
There you go. Not just food, right?
Yeah, man. That's you guys are on another level.
And I will say this, like back to your question about like a year and a half in and how it felt and all that stuff. I think for us it was just what tipped it over. I don't know per se, but I just think patience.
Yeah.
I remember 6 months in, I said to my brother and brother-in-law, who were both partners in this, I was like, the thing I've learned pretty quickly in 6 months, not having any experience in the industry, was like this restaurant business and a lot of business takes patience and stamina. Period.
I think it's word of mouth too.
Word
Yeah.
of mouth. And honestly, that's what
And
it was.
word of mouth is slow moving, but once it catches on,
What you can
And
right.
Instagram's a whole other monster now.
Absolutely, that word of mouth thing and Instagram
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's huge because
Well, I feel like Instagram is what word of mouth is now.
it is.
Yeah.
It is, and social media works. I don't care what anyone says. It works, and it's free.
Yep.
And even if you pay for it, I'll pay on Facebook to promote some of our events, like music events and all
boost
that.
it. Yeah. You have to because of the way they throttle things.
Right. And what's $25 a week? If I get one couple in because they saw that boost, I'll make that $25.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a no-brainer. So,
yeah.
but But it's been good, man. A year and a half in, it was definitely not where we thought it would be. Not that I had any unrealistic expectation. I thought it'd be better. And 3 years in now, I just think we're in a good spot. And I'm definitely a glass half empty kind of guy in terms of just being a pessimist, because it's a tough industry. It's a tough industry, and you never know what's going to happen. So, but we just want to keep rolling. Well, that's the goal, is to keep rolling and making sure that we're consistent.
Are you the busiest you've ever been now?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't think there's no question. Year over year, 2019 is definitely the best year that we're gonna have. Are going to be as good next year because it's been such a good year for us? Doubtful, but I think again, getting through 3 years in this industry is a milestone. 1 year is nothing. I think 3 years is the key. So
how many years are you guys going on? This will be
we just finished 3 in August. Yeah. So and we're starting to think about, all right, if this continues to go well, what's next? But
what are your plans or thoughts on next?
We're certainly looking around. I don't think there's anything imminent right now, because the real estate market is pretty high right now, and I think it's a seller's market as opposed to a buyer's market. But our goal is to hopefully continue to succeed with this business, and if we find another piece of property that we think is a good mixed use property with a potential for commercial space and some additional income above, we'll go that route. But
do you think you would keep it in Allentown, or do you think you would branch out?
I think we're going to go somewhere else if we do.
You guys would probably kill it in Easton,
Bethlehem.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
you would do fine in either.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'd go with the same concept.
No, that's too. You could totally switch it up.
I honestly think we would probably switch it up simply because, I don't know. We'll see. It's early stages. There's nothing kind of out there that's concrete right now, but I think as anyone that has any type of business, there's always a what's next, right? So that's kind of where we're at right now, but we'll see what happens.
What do you guys have as far as like future plans for the location you're at? Like, do you have events that you plan on doing, or like just kind of things like that?
We're continuing to try to push music. We do music every Friday.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to touch on, was you guys are real big in, and that was such an added atmosphere. And the first thing I'm not going to say the bar, but we went to a bar, and it was over the top loud, and with the music where we were just yelling to each other, and then we were like, okay, let's leave. And the first thing when I posted the music there was my buddy was like, how was it? And I was like, it was fine. I was like, the place is big enough. I was like, it wasn't way too loud. I was like, it's the correct ambiance with the music, and it was an added touch, because you were like, yo, come this day when this band's on, because brunch is going to be 10 times better.
That's right. It was a folk music kind of. Yeah, that's right. And it was pretty busy.
But you also have the other side. So if you didn't want to, not that you couldn't hear it, but like if you wanted it at a lower level, you could definitely go to the other side.
The challenge with the other side too is, even when there is no music on the bar side, is it gets loud because the ceilings are lower. So what's next? We're event wise, music for sure. I think we're certainly looking to do some other things.
How do you guys book all your music? Is it just people reach out to you at this point?
Definitely a lot of people reaching out to us. Also, I'm just being on social media. I see who's other venues around town. What are they playing, or who do they have in their space? So that's huge. And it's important to change it up too. While there's a lot of good, consistent music out there, people want to see new faces and new voices. So that's important. So we're doing Friday music. We're starting to do more Saturday music as well. And we'll do music on brunch on Sundays every 6 weeks. So, and we do movie nights on Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw you do that too. That's cool too. So how do you set that up? Do you just put like a projection screen up, or is there TVs?
We've got a projection built into the ceiling, and a screen that we just pulled out on Wednesday nights. And not that it's a big draw. It's more meant to be eye candy than anything else. So.
No, you guys play good movies.
And honestly, it's just intended to be lighthearted. A lot of shit going on in this world right now. It's meant to be lighthearted stuff. Yeah. So, it's in conjunction with Wing Night. So that's good. But event wise, I think for the most part, we'll continue to do what we're doing. St. Patrick's Day next year, and every year with that kind of thing, we get, draw a bigger crowd because there's more people out there that know us. Yeah. That don't necessarily want to be in a rowdy bar, and they want to go more to a restaurant than a drinking establishment, I should say. So, we just kind of try to build on every event every year that we have, whether it be St. Patty's Day or, Cinco de Mayo, although we're not, necessarily a Cinco de Mayo place. We'll do stuff with stuff like that.
Yeah.
We'll try to be creative and just introduce new things. So.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a ton of stuff going on and you're super busy.
Yeah.
And we didn't start this till later, so I don't want to hold you up, but I appreciate you coming on, man. You definitely, like, I've always wanted to have restaurants on, but like food is so important to me that I wouldn't just bring anybody on to just promote. Bill told me about you, and then I had the stamp of approval from Bill, and then when I went there and ate your food, I was like, all right, this is definitely like an interview. Like, I was super interested. And then when we talked on the phone, I was super interested in hearing about like how you came from music to even opening a restaurant. So having worked in the industry, man, like, it's an honor to talk to you for the level of like what you've done and what you do for the community. Like, there's definitely people that could open up a bar and do a drunk frat house. And the fact that you chose to do that and want to put something around here where you're delivering top-notch food. I think sometimes people don't pay attention to food, but I do. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are over there. I definitely want to meet your chef, and I want to see if he'll come on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be good. I appreciate that. And it's a tough industry, firsthand. So I think we're in a good spot. While I think there's a lot to be done, I think we're headed in the right direction.
You guys definitely are. I mean, for the simple fact of like what you had to deal with, and the fact that you didn't give up between like having to do the zoning and then the
tenant
the tenant bullshit. But I think all that stuff makes it worth it in the end. And for the fact that you went through all that shit and then you're still doing it, I only foresee you guys opening another place. And then I wasn't even thinking of you guys doing something different, but to take what you like, because now you know how to do it. Like, my buddy is opening up the ramen place. He's like, yo, if this does this, that, and that, and my numbers are good, he's like, if you ever want to do something, he's like, I know how to open a restaurant.
That's it.
So the fact that you guys already have the blueprint and you put the work in to do the long form of it, where it's like, you know what you're doing and it's a solid blueprint. It's not just some shit thrown at a wall.
Yeah.
Like, a second location was something totally different. Like, my brain is just exploding. I'm like, well, what kind of food would they have? What would the atmosphere be? Like, what would they do there?
It's anyone that's
exciting, man.
And I think you're looking for while it's a similar challenge, but a new challenge. And I think trying to replicate what you have is always difficult, especially with the ambiance.
And then you start getting, well, I like that, or like Potsy's, for instance. Yeah. They're everywhere, but everyone's like, oh, well, the Bethlehem one's better.
Right?
Well, to us, it's Nazareth is better.
Yeah, well, that's it, right?
They were first.
Everyone's right.
No, they weren't. Bethlehem was first.
Nope, Nazareth was first.
I'm telling you, Bethlehem was first, but Nazareth was better.
Do not. I'm cutting that out.
You can. I'm the audio guy.
I'm cutting out the video. I want to give you a second to plug all your social media is awesome, because the food you guys put, like, that sold me immediately, because I knew what you were.
Yeah.
As soon as, like, like, sometimes, like, people, like, I watch a couple different things and they call it like stunt burgers, where they got a bunch of dumb shit and you're like, it looks all right. But like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's like, cause I'm excited to tackle the burger, because I have my favorite burger spot and I know that's going to be neck and neck on what it's going to be.
We'll talk offline what that is.
Yeah. No. That's why I said, I'm sure you get compared to it quite a bit, but I want to give you a second to kind of plug your social media, because your social media is really good, and then just the location and how anybody could get a hold of you possibly to go check out the restaurant.
I mean, in terms of social media, we're on Instagram and Facebook. All of our events are posted on Facebook. Any music, any charity events, which we do a lot of as well, are on Facebook. We'll also plug them on Instagram. We'll post things on Instagram. Movies, again, as I said earlier, are just more eye candy. We do them on Wednesday nights. Tuesday nights we do a pound of mussels and frites for $9.
See, I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah, which is big. A lot of folks that they're not looking for something heavy like a burger. They want to come on Tuesday night. They come on Tuesday night. Wednesday nights, half price wings and $10 pitchers of Yuengling and Miller Lights. Thursday nights, $10 burger and a beer. Happy hour Tuesday through Friday from 5 to 7. We do brunch Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 2.
That brunch is no joke.
No joke. And, a lot of places don't do brunch on Saturday. We do Saturday as well.
Oh, I didn't know you did brunch on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
So is it just as busy as Sunday?
It's not as busy, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. But
because now I would slide in Saturday to beat the Sunday crowd.
If you want to slide in Saturday, that's the better day to slide in. Most people brunch on Sundays.
The coffee's really good too.
Yeah, thank you, man. So yeah, and we're heavy on social media. I think like any place you want to be heavier, but it's so tough. Content is king, as they say. And it's just
turns into a full-time job.
It turns into a full-time job.
But you guys are lucky enough that you're just you can post awesome pictures of food all day, and you have people reposting your stuff.
And again, to your point earlier, it's free. And if I get one customer that walks in because they saw us post something that day,
yeah, it's worth it.
it's worth it. Yeah,
Cool.
it's worth the energy. So
Thank you so much, man.
Thank
I know
you.
you're a busy man, and you took time away from your family to drive to this big city.
I appreciate you
I hope
guys.
you can make it out.
I appreciate you guys having
I'll
us.
walk into your
I know,
car.
right?
It gets a little rough.
I know. I appreciate you guys having us. I have a sincere admiration for anyone doing podcasts. Having just been in the music industry, spent most of my life listening to music. Last year plus, I listened to very little music and a lot of podcasts, and I think what you guys are doing great, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The last one we did was Bill. Did you listen to that yet?
I bits and pieces. Oh, but he said something on there. I don't remember which I wanted to bring up. I forgot. But anyways, I got to give him shit about something. I can't remember what it was. So
Probably was it the part when he made fun of Five Finger Death Punch because I think they're good.
yeah.
He's a big Creed fan.
He is. Oh, boy, I love
good.
Bill's I
good.
spoke to him earlier this week about collaborating about something which I want to
He
talk
wants
to you
to
about.
talk to me. Yeah, he hit me up about it.
Yeah, so
we'll definitely work it out.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
again.
Thank you. We'll see you at the restaurant.
Yeah,
You gotta
we're gonna
come
come up.
together.
I'm
gonna
come up with
bring my
Jesse.
boss
Yeah,
along,
yeah.
Because every Christmas we try to come up with a place, and last year we went to.
Well,
So I'll bring
we'll
them
make
out,
That's your
'cause we do it for
Wegmans
lunch.
catering.
We go for
Well,
lunch.
like I said, make sure that
I'll
I'm
tell you
there.
my Wegmans catering thing. That's amazing.
All right, man.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you so
Be
much.
safe. Drive safe. God bless.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.